Max, can Samantha hear us? Okay.
Now I can hear you. Yes.
Oh, hey, welcome to
Hey.
Kodiak, Samantha.
Yeah, welcome.
And then we will hear from the Islands and Remote Areas Business Center. So that includes Alaska, Hawaii, and the territories. And then we'll hear from the Intertribal National Business Center that you guys are some of our Alaskans are eligible for that program as well. So I am gonna turn it over to Samantha to provide an overview, and we're so happy you're here.
Awesome. Yeah, I wish I could have been there in person, but we'll try very, very soon again. So thanks for having me. I'm Samantha Schaff-Saldop. I'm the branch chief for the Outreach and Technical Assistance branch of the local regional foods division. And our division is the part of USDA that's kind of administering this regional food business center program and part of the partners for the centers. Could you go to the next slide, please? So I'm going to do kind of pretty quickly through just to give an overview of kind of the program, the intention and program goals, and want to give a lot of the time to the people actually doing the work in the center. So we'll just kind of give a brief overview and then talk about some of the core responsibilities and kind of vision and some additional resources that you guys can access if maybe you're eligible for centers in a different region to the ones that are presenting today. Next slide, please. So the regional food business centers in general, they were set up to support a more resilient and competitive food system by providing localized assistance to access local and regional supply chains, specifically including linking producers to wholesalers and distributors. On the USDA side of things, these are set up as cooperative agreements. So USDA has more substantial involvement than what would be like a typical grant situation. So providing some program management, training, and technical assistance, but really setting these up to be kind of a partnership between USDA and organizations and partners that are doing work in the region specifically, because AMS doesn't really have field offices. And so a lot of it's coming from like the national offices and not really a localized perspective. So USDA, the partners here, are working to support each of the RFBCs to establish and develop their local capacities, but also get connected specifically to other USDA agencies and organizations, teaching about different programs that USDA has available to help build those strategic partnerships. And it's also facilitated as a peer-to-peer learning experience where there's resource sharing from USDA to center and center partners and back and forth to kind of work on this collaboration together. So to get into the program specifically, can we go to the next slide? We put out a kind of request for application back in 2022, I believe, early 2022, for these cooperative agreements, and 12 centers were selected, 11 that are regionally distributed and based on geographies, and then one national intertribal food business center. And it's so great to have them here today speaking about the work that they're doing, because it's a different setup than the other 11 centers, but all doing great work. So these centers consist of a cooperative organization, lead organization, but with the specific ask and requirement to be building up partnerships across the region. So you'll see most of these centers aren't really just led by one organization. They have a lot of different partners and small community organizations that may not have had the same level of capacity to access USDA resources in the past, bringing them together to be part of this holistic partnership to really get into and support every type of business across the region. Next slide, please. So in September of 2022, the 12 different centers were announced. You can see them kind of outlined on the map here. 400 million was put out to fund these initiatives. Sorry, in May 2023 is when they were selected. Apologies. And September 22 is when they were announced that there was going to be 400 million to support these centers. So you can see there's the 11 centers that are geographically distributed, and then the National Intertribal Food Business Center, which is supporting individuals across the nation. Next slide. The way this was set up or originally established was really wanting to emphasize the importance of taking a regional approach to building up and making more resilient local regional food systems. So with an understanding that there are such different types of geographical landscapes, but also consumer demand, market dynamics, different types of producers and food businesses across the nation, a one size kind of fits all approach isn't the right way to really support the growth and sustainability of these small and mid-sized food farms and food businesses. And that from a national perspective, as AMS is, with not as many field offices or not any in our local regional foods division specifically, that the local people and organizations are the ones best equipped to design solutions for their regional community. So that is why we kind of developed the program to be set up in this way, in which there's regional, local-based solutions with USDA support in moving forward. Next slide, please. These outline the initial program goals as established within the RFA. So you can see I kind of hit a couple different points on here already, where we're working together, USDA and center leaderships and key partners, to kind of ensure this ongoing regionally appropriate support and solutions, with a really a big focus on driving economic opportunities for small and mid-sized businesses, providing more access or market access points and opportunities for small and mid-sized farm and food businesses, either established businesses and helping them to expand or become more sustainable, or help start new businesses depending on what the region really needs. Really, the desire is to maximize the impact of local driven investment and support the specific needs of the region, of the community, which, as I said, is best known by the people living there, doing the work. That's part of the experiences. Next slide, please. So these are the core responsibilities of the center. You'll see the centers after me kind of talk about how their centers specifically are attacking these three buckets. But we have coordination, technical assistance, and capacity building. I'll go into a little bit more detail on each of those. But basically, coordination, we're talking about how regional centers can work with USDA, other federal, state, and tribal agencies, and really start to build these strategic partnerships to better leverage fund, reduce duplicative efforts, streamline efforts when there's a bunch of diverse but overlapping priorities. For technical assistance, providing training, consultation, and resource development to support small and mid-sized farm and food businesses. This also goes into building the capacity of technical assistance providers. So we've heard from a lot of these regional centers and National Intertribal Center that there's a lot of TA recipients that need and want the support, and not as many TA providers that are able to jump in and meet that demand. So helping to build the capacity of the people who can support the farm and food businesses that need them. And then capacity building focuses on direct investment. So those are the Business Builder Subaward programs, or Business Builder Award programs, which we can go into more detail just a little bit later. Next slide. So coordination, sorry, next slide again. I guess I should have worked on the actions in the PowerPoint. So strategic coordination, we just got the most recent PPR, which has data through December of 2024. Since the centers have launched, we're seeing that 2,614 partnerships and collaborations have been developed already, and 466 of those were finalized with kind of written MOU agreements, which just shows that there's a lot of new relationships being built, new organizations working together, small, mid-sized, large, coming together for a unified goal, which is really exciting to see those partnerships grow throughout the nation. And the center leaders have been, tasked and asked to work with people and businesses and organizations that they haven't worked with before, and they've been doing an absolutely fantastic job in their outreach and their partnership building, and it's really impressive to see what's been happening from their side of things. Next slide, please. So for technical assistance, as mentioned, both for the recipients, for providers, and these are all also not kind of prescribed from the USDA down, but really the regions looking into what is needed by their communities, by the businesses that they're serving, and developing programs that directly meet their needs. So customized solutions. Some are providing mentorship. Some people are providing just one-on-one support, webinars, different business development training, or marketing and communication, really tailoring it to whatever is like a gap in their region, and looking at what's already existing for people in their region and how they can help to fill what is not currently available for people in terms of the resources they need. So it's really, again, exciting to see. And a lot of the technical assistance programs are kind of at the beginning of being launched. So if you can hit the next slide. One more time. Sorry. They're just at the beginning of being launched. So these numbers are even more exciting than they look, because the first kind of couple of months or to a year, depending on how the governing structures need to be set up with the centers, people were kind of doing a deep dive into their region and figuring out what the needs were before launching the TA programs. And so even now, centers have started working with over 558 new technical assistance providers, provided technical assistance support to over 5,527 businesses and organizations, and more than 8,000 individuals have been trained or received technical assistance. And those numbers, if you take the data that was reported in the first year and then the data that was just reported in these last 6 months, they've doubled from those two reporting periods and this together. So we're just seeing this upward trajectory and of the people that are being served and brought into the center's work. And that trend is seemingly going to become a pattern and keep moving on in the future, which is, again, super, super exciting. So you see the TA topics over there that can be focused on. And again, this isn't kind of prescribed down. Regions are looking into what is needed and choosing what's best for their people. But these are the kind of 7 categories that, when we've gotten reports from centers on the technical assistance topics they're focusing on, are the ones that have come up the most. So how to access new market opportunities, new strategies for processing, distribution, and aggregation, navigating funding and financing, marketing strategies, business planning and development, value-added production, and food safety and regulations. Next slide. And then lastly, capacity building. Thank you. So capacity building, those are the business builder subawards. So these are subaward programs that each of the centers are setting up themselves to provide direct investments to small and mid-sized farm and food businesses via the subaward program. So eligible entities can receive up to $100,000 to catalyze private sector innovation and supply chain resilience. These business builder awards can be only collectively across the program $100,000. You can get multiple awards from different centers or at different years, 25,000 here, and then a couple years later apply again for something different for 25,000. But collectively, it needs to be 100,000 total. That's the max. And so centers are developing their own programs and submitting implementation plans for review to the USDA, but they're the ones in charge of kind of executing the program. Next slide. The main focus of these business builder award programs and why the program developed these is that it did feel as if there was a gap in the area. What we've heard from people out in the field is for accessing USDA funding, that this business builder program and the way that it's being set up through the centers does fit a gap in funding that people have not been able to realize previously. And the focus of this program is really to increase revenue, create new markets, expand local sourcing, or focus on regional needs. So those are kind of the main buckets, but those are general categories, and centers have the discretion to adapt those and interpret those based onto the needs of their region. Next slide. So right now, each of the centers are developing their own business builder program, and the centers who speak after can kind of speak to where they are in the process. But as of right now, from the USDA side of things, we've received 11 of the 12 centers have submitted their initial implementation plans. A couple of the centers have launched programs. Some have closed programs. Others are, applications are on a rolling basis. But they're all in the works, and within the hopefully next couple of months, we'll be seeing more and more of those business builder award programs launch, and those will be on each of the centers' individual websites, and then also on the USDA website with the business builder program page. So eligible entities are defined by each of the centers, so I can't really give you now like a running list of things. It's very adaptive to each of the regional needs. And what's really interesting and I think exciting about the way that this program can be set up is that you can either choose to have it be a competitive program where people apply and then, the normal type of application process, or you can do non-competitive, in which a potential awardee would have to go through a technical assistance or training program or some sort of structure to get to a point in which they would receive a business builder award at the end. So again, a lot of flexibility and discretion to the center to be able to adapt that to what they think is needed for their region. Next slide. So before I hand it over to our delightful center reps, I just wanted to give some additional information. We have a regional food centers at USDA.gov email address that you can reach out to at any time with any type of questions. You can also find your center at that website. As I mentioned, those business builder announcements are kind of on a rolling basis from the centers, and there's not a set cadence. So I would recommend maybe signing. All of the centers have newsletters at this point for the most part, I believe. You guys can correct me. I would recommend signing up for their newsletter or signing up for the AMS, our local regional foods division newsletter from the ground up, and announcements about those business builder award programs or technical assistance opportunities will be in those newsletters. So you can be aware, since there's not really like a standard time frame to be checking for more information. And I'll be around if you have any questions or anything else, but I'll hand it back to Robbie for now.
Thank you, Sam. We had hoped USDA was going to be able to join us, but there's been a few things going on. So next up, we're going to give an overview of the Islands and Remote Areas Business Center, and I'm going to pass it to Harmony, who is the lead of the business center for all of the regions. And then we'll kind of take a deeper dive into Alaska and then hand it off to Johanna for an overview of the Intertribal Center. So.
Thank you. Okay. Oh, morning, everyone. Oh my gosh, it just started snowing. Sorry, I get all excited. So I actually grew up south of Buffalo, New York. 15 years I've been on the island of it kind of mix of both of those, so I'm loving it. So yes, as Robbie said, Alaska is basically served by 2 of these regional food business centers, and so I'm here to talk about the Islands and Remote Areas Regional Food Business Center. Yeah, you can go to the next slide. So thank you to Sam. She did an awesome job of basically covering this slide. So you have a good overview, hopefully now, of kind of what these regional food business centers are meant to do. I'll emphasize again the 3 buckets: coordination, technical assistance, and capacity building with the business builder grants, which is what I think most people are most excited about. I know I am. Okay, next. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about our region. As Sam said, oh, thank you so much. As Sam said, when the RFP came out, the request for proposals came out in 2022, the really cool thing was they let us define our own regions. So So those of you that are familiar with USDA programs, that's like really unusual, right? It's like you're in the Western region, you're in this region. And so, Hawaii we're a part of the Hawaii Good Food Alliance, which I'll talk about in a minute. But so we were already an alliance of organizations across things. And so people kept sending us the RFP. You guys should apply, you should apply. We're like, we called USDA, Hawaii is a collection of islands, which are kind of sub-regions. Can we be a region just as Hawaii? They're like, no. It's got to be multi-state, multi-place. So then we started getting calls from like California and Washington and Arizona, like, oh, we're on the West Coast, do you want to come up? Or we're like, well, maybe. And then as we like kept thinking about it and looking at our partners or not even partners yet, but people we had met through different grant programs and different USDA events, we had come across Robbie and Alaska Food Policy Council through the Regional Food Systems Partnership Grant, and everybody knows Robbie everywhere you go. So we started talking, and then we found a partner, and we just, and then we also had a partner in Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. And so we were like, wow, we have a lot more in common as islands and remote areas, kind of continental, large scale farming, and just, all the challenges you guys are all super familiar with, right? Distribution, logistics. Yeah, so we teamed up, and it was just synchronistic. We were like, is this going to work? So then we called USDA again. Okay, we have another idea. What if we took the US that are not part of the lower 40 or the upper 48 to us, but and they were like, oh, interesting. Let's think about it. We'll think about it and get back to you. And they said yes. So this is our amazingly diverse and geographically spread out region covering 14 time zones. So you can imagine our Zooms we try and get together. So we've been meeting Mondays. So Hawaii, Monday, 11 a.m. is 5 p.m. for Puerto Rico and Virgin Islands, and 7 a.m. the next day for Guam, Northern Mariana Islands, and American Samoa. So some people are just getting up and getting their kids ready for school. Other people are winding down for the day, but we make it work. Slide, please. Oh, sorry, I have it. No, I'm doing like Kyra. So yeah, I was just going to wrap up talking a little bit about the Hawaii Good Food Alliance. As I said, we are an alliance of community-based, local food systems focused organizations across the islands. We really came together informally for many years, and we're just kind of like sharing lessons learned and challenges and successes. And one of the big early things we did together was we realized that out of our 10 organizations, 4 of us at the time had double bucks. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with double up food bucks. Basically, anyone with SNAP EBT can get local produce for 50% off. And so, like somebody had 100,000, the pilot program, right? And somebody had a couple 100,000, and some had private funding. And then we were like, oh, if we all went in together, we could do a statewide application and get bigger buckets of money to then distribute across all the islands and hit, as many markets as possible. So that was our early kind of first project, like tangible project. And from there, we grew to supporting farmers markets and food hubs. And Kayu's been leading our Food as Medicine program. And we're starting a Hawaii Good Food Fund. So just a lot of things that really support all aspects of the food systems, from production to aggregation, distribution, and really that access piece has been a big focus for all of us. And so, yeah, I'll just wrap up with our good food pillars. This is really kind of our foundation and our strategic framework on these five main points. So being culturally grounded, food as medicine, equitable, community-based, and Malama Aina. So that's really about taking care of the land. And I think Kayu did a great job yesterday that you guys got to hear. But that all is, just a really key part of Hawaiian culture, and especially with the food systems, taking care of your soil and your land, and then and kalo and taro, and then all the food, and then it takes care of you. I think that's it. I'm passing it over to Robbie. Oh, sorry, last thing. So I just wanted to highlight our partners in our different regions. So as Sam mentioned, there's a lead, that's the Hawaii Good Food Alliance. And then we have our key partners. So Alaska Food Policy Council, Virgin Islands Good Food Coalition for the Caribbean. So they also then work closely with the Puerto Rico group called the Alliance for Agriculture. And then in Guam, we have Guahan Sustainable Culture. So they obviously serve Guam as well as the Northern Marianas and American Samoa. And I hand it to Robbie.
Thanks, Harmony. So this, I just wanted to put the slide up here as a reminder of our Food Policy Council's mission to connect, advocate, and inform. So this business center program really hits on all of those areas. So going to skip through a few because I want to save time for Johanna. So we're lucky we get supported by 2 different business centers in our states. So you'll hear more about the Intertribal Council's vision for this program, but we're going to jump into our Alaska specifics. So when we were, we spent about a year and a half planning this project and picking out what we can do, anything from post-production to food waste. So where are we going to focus and how do we come up with the priorities for our business center? So we, in the middle there's our regional food system partnership project that we did in 2020 to 2022, where we held community meetings around the state. We weren't able to get everywhere. The grant required match, so we did what we could, and we had 13 asset mapping sessions where we talked about what do we have in our state, and what do we want, and how do we vision what a more resilient food system would look like. So we came up with a statewide action plan. So we pulled a lot of our priorities from there. So listening directly from the communities on the ground. And then we were also involved in 2 different task force statewide. So we were able to look at all of those and see where the overlaps were and to see what we could actually do with the specific funding pot. Like there are obviously limitations and boundaries. So the first year we had to staff up quite a bit. We went from 1 single staff person to 6 and laid an organizational structure. We reviewed, we did landscape analysis. I don't know, Elliot's in the room, helped us review tons and tons of reports to, again, pull out some of those priorities on how we were going to implement this. And then this past fall, we put out a request for partnerships for technical assistance provisioning. And we had a laundry list of things we were looking to support, and we got some pretty creative proposals, and we were set to launch our TA this spring. It's going to be a little bit delayed as we wait for things to settle out a little bit more. And we've also been designing our business builder program. So, which Harmony, did it just get approved?
Yeah, we've been working on our business builder implementation plan for each of the subregions, letting them have autonomy over their programs. We've gone back and forth with USDA for almost a year. So we just got it approved, like, yes.
Woo, yay. Yay. And our region's a little unique in that, like Harmony said, each of our subregions all have our own plans just because we are different. We have different priorities, different partnerships. So that's kind of a neat thing that Hawaii Good Food allowed us to do, is really design plans based on our place. This is a chaos graphic. I won't go over it, but this integrates our strategic plan with our business center, and the next slides explain these a little bit easier. Okay, Samantha covered that. Oops, there we go. Okay, so you've heard both Harmony and Sam mention our 3-tiered approach to so capacity building, technical assistance, and coordination. So we're taking the coordination piece to develop out more opportunities for folks around the food system to talk and share ideas, share challenges. So we have several monthly working groups, which are on the next slide. We've started hosting quarterly food system gatherings. So these are all virtual because we have a huge state and it's really expensive to travel. And then we do our conference every 18 months. And then finally, we've developed on our website an opportunities portal. So it has jobs, events, funding, all kinds of things that are crowdsourced. You guys can put any of your opportunities in there. And then through our newsletter, we highlight some of these. So these are our working groups. They're open to anyone that wants to get involved. You can sign up on our website here. And then this is just a clip of our opportunities portal, so you can put in information about conferences, about maybe you have a grant or something like that. And so the next two pieces are Business Builder Award. We have about 1.6 million earmarked for Alaska food and farm businesses. We are most likely going to open that in the fall, in September. And yeah, if you're on our newsletter, you'll hear all about it. And then the other pieces are technical assistance, and we have about 1.4 million earmarked for that. And we have about half of that allocated and ready to rock as we're able to. So we have a couple of those opportunities this conference. We held a business planning and grant writing workshop on Thursday. And if you missed it, it was recorded, so you'll have access to that. And then Local Catch Network is hosting a session. Is it this afternoon, Josh? It's at 10. Okay, you're going to have to scuttle over. It's over at the Best Western, right? Okay, so Local Catch is going to break down some USDA and other federal grant programs, specifically around marine-based food systems, but the information they provide will be great for anyone. So those are just a couple of the opportunities. We haven't fully announced all of our TA folks, but these are some examples of the types of TA we're going to provide in our first round. So some food and farm business 101, reindeer herding legal issues, farmer cooperative development, even how to safely start a homemade food business. I think that session's going on somewhere here, but we're taking the approach of even looking at that micro level of food businesses. So they can be really, really impactful for small and more remote communities to be able to start a home food business. I'm not going to read all these, but RTA is going to come in a variety of ways. So conference sessions, one-on-one mentoring, and then cohort model. And then they will also are creating some toolkits and some templates. So like the grant writing workshop, we have a great workbook now for you guys to walk through on your own. And that's it for the Alaska subregion. I know I've been squirrely on dates, but we hope to have some clarity sooner. So if you are signed up on our newsletter, you'll get the hot, fresh news as soon as it comes out. So I'm going to let Johanna go next, and then we can all take questions at the end.
Are there any questions right now for Robbie or Harmony as we're waiting for my slides to come up? Who's not from Alaska or Kodiak that wants to turn around and look at that snow? I know it's novel. Okay. To get up, let's see. Attended the IAC session yesterday. Okay. And who's familiar with IAC? Okay. Are there any nations of IAC present? Okay. And then are there tribal nations in here that could technically, like federally recognized tribes that would be potential members then? Okay. I just want to point that out because it might be a great opportunity to link up with IAC to just be involved more with some of the services that we can provide. And then you'll hear about a lot of these opportunities as you go throughout the year and being able to provide that input and about issues that come up for Alaska. There's a great Alaska region representation already. And so then your specific needs and stuff will get leveraged or elevated. So my name is Johanna Herron. I'm with the National Intertribal Food Business Center. I'm the director of it, and I'm excited to share some information with you today. And I'm going to be much less exciting, I think, because I'm just going to tell you mostly about the what we have going right now. I think you've heard a lot about the structure of it from USDA and from the island and remote areas. So I'll just get to the nitty gritty, if that's okay with you. And I have control, right? Okay, I was gonna say next slide. Okay, so the way I have set this up, and so just to orientate you, for those of you that know about IAC, and for those of you that heard the talk yesterday, we've talked a lot about our stakeholder services section and how we have a TA network. IAC was formed in the 80s, and we've been around for a long time. We have a very robust technical assistance network. We have a very robust stakeholder services program that specializes in multiple things. My program is housed in the strategies department, and we work really closely with our stakeholder services. What we're excited about in this section is being able to take the stakeholder services programs and really finally complement it with something we've never had before, which is funding. And so one of the things stakeholder services has always been really great at is assisting, providing information, being there, right, just on the ground with folks. And the thing we didn't have was, how do you get to that next level? And so this is our opportunity. We did a lot of USDA programs. You get to capital, how do you get to loans, programs, stuff like that. And this has been our first opportunity to create a program that could meet Indian country needs fiscally in a way, right? And so we spent a lot of time really listening to what would that look like? How could that look in a way that would feel good across Indian country? And of course, as a national center, we had a lot to, and this 174 federally recognized tribes across the nation, about 40% in Alaska. So we did a needs assessment. We also had a lot of knowledge to draw on with our experience working with stakeholders. So we did spend quite a bit of time really listening. One thing we knew really well and for sure was that we wanted to make it personal. And so this is our team for the National Intertribal Food Business Center. We are here to assist in the whole process. And we have 5 team members, and 3 are not here. 2 of us are here. Lillian, where are you? I know you're in here. I think she's in here. Maybe she went to another, she went. It's totally fine. She's here for you. Both of us are here to take you to the next step after this is over as well. And what we'd like to do is, if anybody feels like after this conversation you're eligible, we're going to walk you through what that looks like next. These other three folks, Molly, Julian, and Cindy, are there for answering questions, walking you through what kind of projects would be eligible, what kind of costs would be eligible, what does it look like to apply for a grant, those kinds of things. So we want you to know that you're not alone in this process, and we're here for the whole kit and caboodle. So that's one thing that we want to make just really clear upfront right away. So a program snapshot, you heard before, it's up to $100,000. Keeping in mind it's for eligible businesses. We do have the only non-competitive structure 100%. So we chose to not do any competitive awarding. A lot of centers you'll find have done one or the other, and part of this is based on capacity. Part of it is based on what you're doing to meet your stakeholder needs. We chose this route because that's what felt right. But it does mean that you have to go through technical assistance. So we've defined what this means with USDA. And so one of the things you have to do is get technical assistance that's approved by USDA that will work for eligibility. So one thing we did get approved was this conference prior to it being opened and attending. So anyway, the point being that everybody that is in attendance at this conference, online and in person, is now eligible to apply National Intertribal Food Business Center grant as long as you fit our criteria and you're an eligible business. Funding is post-harvest activities only, so keep that in mind for your needs. One thing you will need is a unique entity. And I like to bring this up and point this out. After drinking too much coffee, I get really dry mouth. So I'm gonna use my water here. Thank you, everyone. Okay. So unique entity identifier, if everybody remembers DUNS numbers. Oh, my blue came out really weak. It's available at sam.gov. This YouTube video shows you, it's really short. It's like a 6 to 8 minute video. I'm not going to show you because it's really not really exciting. But it's a great video to show you how to go through the system to get a UEI. And you will need this to accept the federal funding. Some people will have your tribal government or your tribal nation will have, or entity enterprise will have a UEI already. Just keep in mind if you're going to go under that UEI that will prohibit using it for anybody else. So if you have multiple programs within your tribal government and you might have, or multiple businesses that might want to use it, you might consider that those other programs would want to get their own if you wanted multiple applicants. So just think about how you want to be using it, because only one UEI can apply per application. Anyway, so it doesn't take too long to get your UEI. At least that's not what we've experienced. I think they do tell you to give it a couple weeks, but you will need to do this. I like to tell everybody this early on because you can start doing this right now. So there's UEI. Eligibility. Eligibility is dependent on a few things. You guys have heard a little bit about, and you saw that map about the different regions. All of the regions were sort of defined as people applied. Being the national center, our region wasn't necessarily defined right away. And we had to do that as we went. So that took quite a while to define. It's not super straightforward, but I have great news is that we're becoming really good experts. And so you can come to one of those 5 people that you saw and we can walk you through it. We can talk to you about it and figure out how exactly to understand and see if you qualify. We did want to sort of keep it as inclusive as possible. And so Indian country geographic designation has about 4 actual ways to a yes, and they're based on the first 2. And then the third one is really if you don't fit into the first 2, it's if your services or sales two, the communities located in the first two are the majority of your business. So if you want more information, though, just come and talk to me or Lillian, and we can walk you through what that looks like. And in Alaska, it's a little bit more complicated, of course, than the lower 48. So, and I have specifics on what that. Do you need to meet the size definition? Small and mid-sized businesses, at least 50 employees or less, 3 million in gross annual sales. For tribal governments and enterprises, it's the program, not the government. So if you have a program underneath it, it's okay to reference just that program. So what does it mean for Alaska for those criteria? I don't know if you can read that. It's kind of small print. I can't read small print at all. Maybe, can you guys read that? It's huge. Okay. I'd probably be in the back like, right. Anyway, so this is what it means to Alaska type stuff. And again, you can just come up and talk to me or Lillian. This is me and Lillian. If you think you're eligible, this is a QR code. Basically, it's just going to ask you for your address, your name, which eligibility you think you fall under. I think maybe for other things, BI stuff, kind of eligibility, or like reassuring that you're a small or mid-sized business stuff, little things like that. And then come talk to us. What'll happen is, oh, go back. You don't want to see that. What'll happen is you'll go into our queue, and then we're going to give you, we'll email you, and then we'll talk to you. Some things are coming up next, which I'm going to kind of poll everybody and see if you even want to go into this part. And then we'll walk you through what does an application look like. We actually have kind of an application template for you to look at so that you can see how easy and unintimidating it is. And then we'll talk about what would go into a narrative, who, what, when, why, where, how, stuff like that, how it should really look matching up with your budget, things you can do to make your budget strong and understandable, stuff like that. We have a template for a budget. Okay, so I do have stuff that can help with what you would want to, what is approved for this funding. Do you want me to go into that? Okay, what are we at? It's 9:22. We're done at 9:30? Okay. Everything can get boiled down to this with what you want to, how to figure out what's allowable. And it's really, is it allowable? Is it necessary for you to succeed in your business? And is it reasonable? And is it something that can be incurred specifically for your project? So if it's post-harvest and you have a reindeer farm and it's a slaughter unit and that is to process your reindeer, that would be allowable. And then not excessive compared to what a reasonable person would pay. So some of these things you might want to do some comparisons or something like that. Yeah, I think if you just can walk through these kinds of steps, you'll be able to get to your answer. So this is something that really helped me a long time ago. Budgets are best informed estimates, and then payments will be based on actual costs. I think this confuses people a lot of times early on, where you feel like you need to know exactly how much you're going to spend. But really, it's just your best informed estimate, and then what you end up getting paid is what you'll actually get reimbursed for. I'm going to skip that one. I'm going to skip that one. These are examples that we're going to skip. Okay. Next step, your UEI. Get your UEI if you don't have it. Check your eligibility. I forgot to delete that line. That is already true. Delete that bullet. Check with me and Lillian. Do that QR code. And then if you need help, we have an email. It's right there. And that's it. I think I have a thank you slide. Yeah.
Thanks, Johanna. So just to summarize, the Intertribal Business Center is accepting applications for those business builder awards. And those are non-competitive. That means you automatically qualify if you meet their criteria and you've done 5 hours of technical assistance. So attending this conference, you have your checkbox. So, but in Alaska, as Harmony just announced, we just got our business builder plan approved by the USDA. And we are doing only competitive grants, and our maximum grant amount is 75,000. We wanted to make the money spread further, so we have a slightly less generous grant program than the Intertribal Center has. And yeah, that kind of sums it up. We'll hopefully have some more technical assistance opportunities for y'all soon. And we're aiming in Alaska to launch our business builder grants in September. But I know that was a lot of information. We'll have all of this available to you guys after the conference, and we're working on updating our website as plans get approved and all that. But are there any questions? Or are you guys clear as mud on all of this? Yes, John. Hang on 1 second. He's bringing a mic for you. Thanks, Max.
Yeah, thank you for these presentations. I was curious about the technical assistance. You mentioned for those who are interested in the tribal regional food business center that being here counts as part of the TA time. Could you talk a little bit about the other TA opportunities for people to participate in, and if that information is online?
So we have to get the TA pre-approved from USDA. And so what we've done is we had a pilot phase of our program, and we had like 3 tracks approved, 3 technical assistance tracks approved as our pilot phase. And so what we did or what we're doing now is looking at what's the scale up phase. Of course, there was a slight disruption in services as we were waiting to know how things were rolling out. Ideally, what we would have is like a technical assistance track guide, I guess, for 2025, and people would know where they could go to receive technical assistance, and we would have one of them be something online that they could do, and it would have some curricula they could work through online, and then regional places they could go on to attend throughout the nation, and be able to access it that way. We're also, so we don't have that, unfortunately, because of how things have gone. We've been on a travel freeze at our own organization as well. So, so this was one that I could squeeze through real quick, knowing that we have such a large percentage of our federally recognized tribes in Alaska. So we got this one through, and now we're working on what do we have that we can get through and approved before the rest of the year. So I don't have that answer yet, but as soon as we do, we'll be putting it up on we have a web page, and that one, the web pages, I think all of our web pages are on USDA's site. So as soon as we get something that's like our 2025 TA tracks, it'll be up there.
Is there a question? I saw someone's hand go up over here. Of course you have a question, Nathan.
Under multiple TA program, or sorry, let me start over. I heard in this presentation that there's like the $100,000 cap on business builder grants across all RFBC entities. Does that apply to TA
No.
grants?
That cap does not apply to TA. So you can keep applying, Nathan. And I think we have, and we'll come to Sam next. She's been darting her hand up.
Thanks. Couple quick questions for the intertribal funding opportunity. You say it's non-competitive. Does that mean that it's on a first come, first serve basis? Then my second question, and this is more general, is equipment an allowable expense in the business builder? Because that's often not supported by USDA.
Yeah, equipment is allowable. It's called special purpose equipment. And then there's also supplies. You just want to think through if it's got depreciation value or not, and if it's a supply or not, and where it falls in the threshold. Something else to keep in mind is that I know USDA has changed that threshold from 5 to 10,000 recently, but we were awarded under the previous threshold. So it's not the 10,000, it's the 5. I guess to your first question, yeah, it is first come, first serve. And we are trying to find a way to be thoughtful about that. We have a fair amount to award, so we're not too concerned. If it looks like it's becoming an issue, we'll think of a way to navigate that. But right now, we're confident with how we're doing it.
And I did want to add, this is for you, Nathan, specifically. With the Business Builder Awards, you can only get up to 100,000 across all the business centers. So you can, if you get 75 from us, you could get up to 25 from the Intertribal Center. So there's a cap there. And then Sam, did you have a question?
I wanted to check and see if the AFPC Business Builder had kind of the same limitations as the Intertribal Business Builder grant as far as like post-harvest.
Yeah,
equipment
that's
update.
across the entire business centers nationwide. It's post-harvest through food waste. So
Mhm. Is there flexibility regarding equipment that kind of spans multiple activities?
I think we'd have to take that on a case by case basis and get a check off from USDA just so we don't end up owing them money after this.
Yeah.
So I think we have, we're at time, but maybe we can squeeze one more question in. Does anybody have anything else? Okay, and we hope to host some more webinars and opportunities to learn more, and hopefully we can co-host some opportunity webinars in the next. But thanks for hanging with us on the ambiguity, and pick your next event to go to. Woo!